Hello, buddy. Welcome back to Tin Man's Quarter Channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and today I'm reacting to my third and final Spooky Vibes video for you guys, and this was titled 3 Disturbing Gym Horror Stories. So without further ado, I'm going to turn these lights off, move the camera up here for you guys, and let's get this reaction on the road in the bag, shall we? Okay, buddy, here we go.
Going to the gym is one of the best things that you can do for your body and mind. It makes you stronger, releases endorphins, and boosts your confidence. There is, however, one drawback when it comes to going to the gym, and it quite literally can kill you. Listen to this. A few summers back, there was a time when I was going to the gym at least 4 times a week. I was a senior in high school, and summer break was coming up, so I had to get in shape for the beach. It was also a time for me to unwind and release some stress. Well, that all changed during this story. I was at our local gym, doing some leg presses when this big guy, Aiden, came up to me. Aiden was your typical gym macho man. Don't get me wrong, the guy was ripped and could squash me like a bug, but he was the guy who wore string tank tops, screamed during every exercise, and thought he was better than everyone else. Anyway, Aiden came up to me and asked if I could spot him during his bench press. Even though I was not a fan of the guy, I told him yes and followed him over to the bench. I could see why he needed a spotter. The man was literally benching 350 pounds and said that this was a startup weight.
That's impressive. Benching 350 pounds, man, makes me want to go back to lifting weights again. I used to lift weights back when I was in high school for 9th grade PE. I also lifted weights in my dad's garage when I was in middle school. But maybe one day we might clear it off and I might start lifting weights again because I really want to improve my body and physical health. Be more muscular like Lou Ferrigno was in his prime. But also it'd be kind of weird if someone you don't really like, who's acting like a huge jerk, saying that he's better than everybody else, just walks up to you and says he needs your help to be a spotter for him. I'm surprised he didn't say no, but I figured he would have been afraid if he grabbed him and started beating him up. I don't know what's going to happen in the story, so let's just continue on and find out.
As Aiden was lifting away, I was standing behind him, spotting him, and that's when I noticed this other guy. He stood a good distance away, staring intently at Aiden. This guy was skinnier, and he wasn't really wearing gym clothes. He had on blue jeans and a maroon crew neck with sneakers. I thought he was just staring at Aiden working out because he was so strong, but then I noticed this guy wasn't blinking. Like, he was laser focused on Aiden. Then, as Aiden was still doing his bench presses, and I was still spotting him, this guy started to walk directly towards us. He stands in front of Aiden, who at this point was benching 400 pounds. I was about to ask him if he needed anything, when, out of nowhere, this guy jumps onto Aiden's lap, puts his hands on the bar that Aiden is lifting, and shoves down with all his might. Aiden, who did not see this guy coming and was caught off guard, lost control of the bar, and it came crashing down on his neck. This part may seem gruesome, but when the 400-pound weight came crashing down on Aiden's neck, there was a sickening crunching sound, and his neck literally snapped like a toothpick. I could actually see the life in Aiden's eyes leave. Horrified that I just witnessed a man die in front of me from a weight bar, I looked up at the man responsible. The man was now sitting on the ground next to Aiden's lifeless body, breathing deeply and closing his eyes. He looked up at me and calmly asked for me to call the police. He said, "Don't worry, he won't run." And he didn't. He sat still as a statue while I ran to the front desk for the police to be called. When the police eventually got there, he admitted everything and even his motive. Turns out, the guy Aiden had slept with this guy's girlfriend. He had found out a few nights ago while going through her phone and seeing the spicy texts back and forth. So, he planned on coming to the gym that Aiden went to and to quite literally kill him while he worked out. I think the guy ended up having to go to a mental institution for the next 30 years or something. Crazy. I even had to do some therapy myself after seeing someone being killed right in front of me. But yeah, who would have thought that going to the gym was a place where you could literally die? Be safe.
Well, you see all the time when people do those weightlifting competitions, you might see a video where a guy was squatting with his knees and his knees gave out and buckled up on him. Oh, God, that's painful to watch. But, yeah, I wouldn't suspect that guy would have done a stunt like that and jumped on this big muscular dude and forced the weights down and pop his neck. Ah! Just hearing that crunching sound he made on this video made mine hurt. The whole reason he did that probably because after finding out that his girlfriend was cheating on him with him, probably figured he was more muscular than he was and she liked that guy better. And snapped and did not want nobody else touching her. But man, I thought they would put him in actual prison for a crime like that. But if he's getting the mental help at a psychiatric hospital, then I hope he does well and apologizes for what he did. Even though that guy sounded like he was a huge jerk and thought he was better than everybody else, but still, he shouldn't have killed him like that in broad daylight when everybody watching. Anyway, let's get to story number 2.
Staying in shape and being healthy is vital for our well-being. But when does that become too far? You're about to find out. Back in 2021, I was working as a personal trainer for a gym in my hometown. I was pretty new to the job and was willing to take on any clients to help build my book. I ended up taking this guy Phil as a client during the new year, and as part of my fitness program, I always ask what is the goal the client is trying to accomplish. In this case, Phil was trying to lose at least 100 pounds. Now, for context, Phil was a very heavy-set man. He worked a desk job and lived a very sedentary life. In fact, coming to me, he admitted that this was the first time that he ever stepped foot into a gym. Which, more power to him. Sometimes starting something new can be intimidating. Anyway, I had been working with Phil for about a month, and even in that short amount of time, he had lost almost 10 pounds. You would think that was great, but according to Phil, that was not great at all.
That guy really wants to lose weight, but he wants to lose it like that. Well, it ain't gonna happen like that, dude. If he wanted to try and lose weight faster than working out, maybe he should have tried one of them dietary pills that they keep advertising on TV and see if that'll help burn off some of the fat, and then he could go to a gym and work off the rest. But nope, I could see this guy going to be ego-driven and is going to be mad at not only himself for not losing a lot of weight that he wanted, but be mad at the instructor too. Probably. I'm just guessing right now. But anyway, let's continue and see what happens.
During our workouts, he would often make comments saying that my system wasn't working, that he isn't losing his weight fast enough. There were actually multiple times during our workout sessions that I had to calm him down because he was giving himself a panic attack about not losing weight fast enough. But even through all the ups and downs, I thought we were making some good progress. That was until the incident happened. It was almost 9 p.m., and I was at the gym, waiting for Phil to arrive for his 8:30 appointment. Phil did have anxiety issues, but one thing that he never had a problem with was being on time. By 9:15 p.m., it was completely dark outside, and I was about to pack up my things and head home, believing that Phil was not going to show up for his workout session, when the gym door opened and Phil walked in. I said hello to Phil and smiled, but that smile instantly turned into a frown. Phil had walked into the gym as pale as fresh snow. He had this forced smile on his face, but what stood out the most was the blood. Phil's entire shirt was dripping in fresh blood. Wobbling into the gym, Phil came up to me, his eyes unfocused, and held out some kind of bloody meat. He looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Look, I'm losing weight faster than ever. Why work out when you can just cut it out?" And that's when I saw the knife in his other hand. He started to laugh, and that's when I realized the piece of meat Phil was holding was some of his cut-out stomach.
Oh, heck no. At that point, I'd be like calling 911 to get him taken to a hospital quick. I cannot believe this guy had a psychotic breakdown and decided to cut his own stomach out. Oh, God almighty. Man, just hearing that makes my stomach want to curl up. I mean, if he kept focusing, kept arriving to that guy's gym at the appointment that he had for him and trained his butt off, he probably would have lost the weight in time. It'll take a while, but you'll like the result later. But no, this guy's so in a hurry that he would be willing to cut out a bunch of tissue or his own stomach just to look like he's losing some pounds. Man, that's almost like it's watching a scene out of a horror movie.
He laughed again and then collapsed in a pool of his own blood. We called an ambulance immediately. It turns out, Phil had become so obsessed with losing weight that he decided the fastest way would be to literally cut the weight off himself. He cut so deep into himself that he actually punctured parts of his small intestines. Thankfully, the surgeons were able to save his life, but he has since been admitted to a psych ward to test his cognitive and mental abilities. I have not seen Phil since. And for all my people out there trying to reach their fitness goals, please do it the old-fashioned way and not the way that almost kills you.
Oh, that is true. But thankfully they were able to patch him up and get him sent to a psych ward. Well, hopefully he can learn not to do that again and try to work his butt off to lose his weight. But nobody should be getting obsessive for trying to lose weight and literally have a meltdown to cut out their own weight with a knife. Like I said earlier, you could try dietary pills and that don't help. Go to the gym and work your butt off. Run on a track at a park or something, just trying to burn off as much calories as you can, and boom, you'll notice you'll start dropping weight fast.
Have you ever heard the term roid rage? If you haven't, it's pretty much uncontrollable anger or violence resulting from steroids. You may have heard this term in a joking manner at times, but in this story, this was no joking matter whatsoever. Listen to this. When I was 18, I used to work at the local gym right down the street. It wasn't the best job, but it paid decently, and it kept me busy. Now, I don't say this to brag, but I would get hit on a lot, mostly by older dads working out. Most of it was harmless. I would get "wow, you're beautiful" almost 5 times a day, and I was always good-natured about it and never rude back. That was until I met Jimmy. Jimmy was a few years older than me, and I guess the best way to describe him would be steroids. He was huge, so big it almost didn't look natural. He also had a short temper. There were times when someone would accidentally walk in front of his camera when he was taking pictures of himself in the gym mirrors, and he would explode with anger. We nearly had to revoke his membership multiple times. And unfortunately, Jimmy was starting to take a liking to me. At first he would make comments about my eyes and my smile. Pretty harmless stuff that I've never really felt uncomfortable with. But then his compliments started to get more aggressive. He would say my figure is perfect. He would ask how low I can go if I did a squat. But what really crossed the line was the day he came up to the front desk where I was working, pushed aside my papers, and told me that I needed to be his girlfriend. His arrogance and cockiness were a complete turnoff, and I'll admit, I was a little harsh back. And I told him that I'll never date scum like him, and that he could never amount to the boyfriend that I have now. And I could tell Jimmy wasn't rejected too often. He started to almost shake, like he never heard the answer no before. He slammed his fists onto the counter and shouted that I was a slut and my boyfriend was just using me, and then stormed out of the gym. That was the first time I was ever really afraid at my job. And I told my boss what happened in the break room, and she said if it happens again, they're going to revoke his membership. Sadly, this is not where the story ends. That same night, I was the last one to close the gym. After I turned off all the lights and locked up, I waited right outside for my boyfriend to come pick me up. I was scrolling through YouTube videos, killing time waiting, when footsteps came from behind me. By the time I turned around to see who they belonged to, I was staring face to face with Jimmy. Before I could yell or scream or do anything, Jimmy pinned me against the wall. And I tried to play it cool and not piss him off. He asked me why I was so uncomfortable. And I tried my best to stay calm and say I'm not. Jimmy shook his head in disbelief. And I tried to get out of his pin, but he pushed me back harder onto the wall. He made me look him in the eyes. Then he asked why I wouldn't be his girlfriend. He said no girl ever rejected him. He's been waiting out here all day so that we could talk. And at this point I was crying, and I saw headlights behind Jimmy, who didn't seem to notice. But now, his grip went from my shoulders to my neck. He was saying again how no girl ever rejected him, when, suddenly, Jimmy was struck in the head and fell to the ground. My boyfriend was on top of him now, pounding his face until there was blood on his fists. My boyfriend told me to go wait in the car while he called the police. And after statements were taken, and police looked at the gym security footage, Jimmy was charged with a second-degree misdemeanor and 6 months in jail, and also a permanent ban from the gym. Whenever I tell this story, I am so thankful for my boyfriend coming to my defense. If he did not step in when he did, I have no idea if I would even be here retelling you this story. I have not seen Jimmy since, and I pray that it stays that way.
Okay, this is why people should not take steroids while they're trying to stay fit. I know it's supposed to make you look more like a beast with big muscles and all that, but no. People start to get addicted to it, and all of a sudden this might happen. You go into an uncontrollable rage and might end up killing somebody because of it. But thankfully her boyfriend came when he did and was able to knock that guy out cold, because if he didn't, she probably would have been dead on the ground. But thankfully he got arrested, put in jail, and banned from that gym, because if I was the owner of that gym and I saw that, he's out immediately. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more spooky vibes content like this. This has been another successful installment of the Tin Man Quarter channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor. I said that's a wrap, and have a nice day, y'all.